Hello, Linux learners. Today, we're going to talk about a very useful command line command in the Linux operating system, the sort command. To start our conversation, I will share my screen and we'll see that we are now in the module working with text, and the sort command is indeed one of the very useful Linux commands for helping us parse through files, typically data feeds of one sort or another that are delimited either by white space or some other special character, perhaps a comma separated values file, for instance. So let's start at the beginning. The definition of the sort command. It is just a command that can be used to rearrange, like you would think, sorting a file by some criteria. Typically, that's either a dictionary sort of characters, a numeric sort, or perhaps even date order. And we base this sort on one of the specific fields in the file, where the fields are determined by some field separator character. If you do not specify the character, then white space, that is a space or a tab, is used as the default. So if you direct your attention toward the bottom of the screen, you can see the basic syntax of the sort command. It's just the keyword sort, followed by a space, then one of a series of options, which we'll speak about in a moment, followed by the name of the file that you want to operate upon. And you can specify one or more file names at the same instance of the sort command. So let's first look at that file name option or parameter to the sort command. If we consult the man page, which is always our go-to place when we want to learn more about a Linux command, we can find out that the file name is used as the input to the sort operation, and the resulting output writes the sorted concatenation, meaning one after another, of all the files that were provided in standard input. If we have provided no file whatsoever, or we specify a single dash character where the file name would be expected, then the sort command assumes that it is going to get its input from stdin, which by default is the keyboard, or it can be all the data that's coming in through a pipe, which we spoke about in an earlier lesson. Here is an example. We're catting or displaying out to standard out the contents of the /etc/group file, and then sending that output through the pipe to the sort command. Let's actually do that. So I'm going to go over to my virtual machine, which I happen to be running Linux Mint 19.3, and I have up my command line interface or terminal application. So let's cat that etc group file and pipe it to sort. So based on what we just learned, our expectation would be that we're going to see the output of the etc group file, and that's going to be used as the input to sort. And then by default, the sort utility is going to do a dictionary sort on the first field that it sees in our file. So let's first look at just catting out the file. So we see that the etc group file happens to be a colon separated list where each line is composed of 4 fields. Many of the lines do not have any values in the last field, so we're seeing 3. And it looks like the name of the group, so a placeholder character that is an X, and then a number value. It happens to be the group ID number. And there are many, many lines, and they appear to be in no particular order, at least not by anything in that first field in etc group. So let's now pipe that to sort, and we can see that our output now is in an alphabetic order. So that is just a first simple look at using the sort to get a file into alphabetic order by its first field. But let's move on and take a look at the options to the sort command. There are many, but right now we'll look at the very common options. And the table that you see in front of you will help us guide our conversation. So we know that by default, the sort command uses white space to separate fields, but all too often we get data feeds from other applications that use some other kind of character to separate the fields. We just saw etc group with colon separated fields. We know that we can get Excel exported data in comma separated value format. Other applications have exported data with pipe characters separating the fields. But so there's lots of different ways we can get data. When we have those other field separators and we tell sort to use those as the field separators, leaving blanks in the rest of the data can sometimes confuse the sort order, because a blank, even though it just looks like empty space, actually has what's called an ASCII value associated with it, and it will sort differently than an A, a B, a C, or any other character. So there is a flag called -B, which tells the sort command specifically to ignore those leading blanks, to not use them as part of the sort algorithm. -D commands to the sort to specifically use a dictionary order. Now, this would be important if you had some numeric information, but you did not want to treat it as a number. You wanted it to specifically be treated as dictionary information, as character values. So you would use the -D option in that case. Sometimes you have data where, one keyboard entry person used lowercase characters, and somewhere else it was the shift key was used and you have uppercase, but you do not want to distinguish between those two. And that way you can use the F for fold so that the lowercase and uppercase characters are not distinguished from each other. They ignore the case, in other words. If you have a field that contains months of the year, January, February, March, etc., you may want to sort by those months. And you use the -M for a month sort. Remember, in Linux, case matters in almost all cases, no pun intended. So the M is important to actually represent a month sort. -n would be to specify a numeric sort. And then we start to get into some very interesting option, -K, small letter K, followed by a position number. This specifies what's called the key position to use in the sort. So we may not always want to sort by the very first field in the file. We may want to sort by the third field in the file. It just depends on what requirements we have been given. We'll take a look at the -K option in just a minute. And when we do not have white space for our field separator, but an actual character, we specify that to sort with the -T option, followed by the character that we want to use as the field separator. And in those cases where we want the sort to actually be from largest to smallest, or from the end of the dictionary back to the beginning, we would use -R for a reverse sort order. All right, let's put all that knowledge to use with an example. Assume that you have a copy of the etc password file, and we've named it my password, and it's now in your home directory. You are being asked to perform a dictionary sort on the username or comment field and to display the top 10 lines. All right, we can see a solution here. We've copied etc password to our home directory, and we performed the sort and looked at the top 10 lines. But let us actually do that live, okay? So we are asked to copy that password file to our home directory, which we're already in our home directory in this case, but say we were anywhere else on the system, we could explicitly specify our home directory by the symbol tilde and then give the name of the file. So now we've created a file called mypasswd. And we want to perform a dictionary sort on the username or comment field. What if we don't quite remember right off the bat which field that is. Well, we can look at the man page for the PASSWD file, but we want to look at the man page for the file, right? Not the command. So we're going to look in section 5 of the man page and look and see that the username or comment field looks like it is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th field in the file, and the file is delimited by colons. Okay, so we've answered a lot of questions for ourselves. So we want to sort, right? And we want to sort using a field separator of a colon. And we want to sort by the 5th field in the file. And we want to use a dictionary sort, which would probably be the default, but it's good to be specific, right? So we can actually sort of stop at that point and test it if we'd like, but we were asked to look at the first 10 lines. That is the head command. And we can specify specifically 10 lines. Oops, helps if we type it right like this. But also, if you do recall, the default for head is the first 10 lines. So there we go. We're going to sort by the 5th field, which happens to be the user and comment field, and we can see that we are doing a dictionary sort and going through and finding the items in a dictionary order, see, and down through, okay? And we can see that we have just 10 lines showing. Example 2, we're asked to create a starter file with some contents that is shown, and then to sort the file so that it is first sorted by last name, which is here, and then first name, and then age. So 3 different sort of positions of sorting. Well, here is the solution, assuming that we've made a file named names-ages. We are specifying the position separator with the -t colon. We are using -k with the 2nd field, followed by -k for the 1st field, and then -k for the 3rd field, making sure that it also contains the N for numeric. So, do I have a file already created? I do. Let's look at the contents of names-ages, and we can see that it does mirror what is in my project specification. So we do want to sort this file using the colon as the separator, first by the last name, then by the first name, and then by the age in numeric order, and we should be able to see that if two people were named Jones, then the second level made sure that the first names were then sorted out. And if there happened to be a tie with the two people with the exact same name, that then they would be sorted by age. We don't actually have data that would prove that out. So I recommend that you create your own file with some conflicting data and go ahead and prove that it works. And our last example asks us to use that same file names-ages, but in this time, sort the file in reverse order by age. Okay, so that should be a fairly straightforward sort. So we're going to sort, again, specifying the field separator, and it's the third field, and it is numeric, and we want it to be in reverse order. And then the file is names-ages. So names-ages, and there to prove to yourself that the highest age appears first, all the way down to the smallest age in the list. Those are just some examples of things that you can do with the sort command. As I hope you have seen, it is fairly powerful. You can sort not just by one field, but you can have tiebreaker situations and then move on to a second sort field. So as always, practice. And I know that the more that you use this command, the more that you'll understand the command, and soon it will become old hat to you. So have fun with it, and we'll see you next time.